So I've received, different things from different people that I correspond with, or people, who write to the Abbey. They have questions or whatever. And some of them are regular people on the streets, and some of them are inmates. So I wanted to share with you a little bit about how some people are dealing with COVID and being restricted and everything that entails. Because I know for some people it seems to be quite difficult, and they're saying that there's increase in people needing mental health care and therapy and so on because of being inside, and they don't have the normal life, whatever normal is. I'm not quite sure if that means going out to bars and going out to dinner and going out to movies and going to your workplace and driving your kids to soccer practice and all that kind of stuff. So, not having those kinds of things. Okay, so here is something from one of our friends who works as, I don't know what her actual job position is. It's like a social worker or a coach, okay? So she said, I am really glad to let you know that I have been working on being more joyful. I noticed and came to a reality check with myself a couple of weeks ago that I haven't been my typical cheery self for the last few months. I think this has come from a combination of factors: breaking up with my boyfriend and being by myself more, and also that my coworkers and my clients, the people that I interact with most of the time, are tired, overwhelmed, and stretched thin. I kind of internalized what was going on with my friends and my coworkers and started to think that this was how a person is supposed to feel in the midst of such an unprecedented year. So I want to stop there because I thought that was a very good observation, because what are we hearing on the news? Oh, this is so difficult, and people have mental problems, and the kids are screaming and climbing, mom's trying to do her work in the laundry room and dad is doing his work in the bathroom, and the kids are, playing, hooky in the living room. And so everybody is just out of sorts and it's difficult and they can't stand it. Okay, that's what we hear a lot, when we read things on the news. And so when you hear that a lot, then you get the feeling that that's how you're supposed to feel in the midst of, the COVID crisis. Yeah, that you're supposed to feel out of whack and depressed and beside yourself and suffering. And it made me stop and think how often in so many other kinds of situations in our life do we feel some way because we think that's how we're supposed to feel? That's how normal people feel. Here, normal people being people who don't know the Dharma. Yeah. So then somebody, points out our mistake or criticizes us. Well, any normal person would be upset by that. Yeah. So we get upset and we get angry because that's how you're supposed to feel when somebody criticizes you. Okay. Or somebody doesn't invite you to something, then you're supposed to feel offended because that's how everybody feels. And so to look at how much or how often we feel something because we think that's what is normal, not because we actually feel things that way, not because we do have that emotion, but because we think we're supposed to have it. When I hear about people suffering, I'm supposed to be overwhelmed, and distressed. Yeah. When I hear about people cheating, I'm supposed to be, enraged. And then whether we feel that way or not, we act that way. And that's kind of dangerous, isn't it? Because we get ourselves into all sorts of afflictive mental states, thinking that we're normal, thinking that those states are normal, and that we want to be normal like everybody else. But if we're a Dharma practitioner, we should know that we're not striving to be normal in that way. We're striving to be virtuous. We're striving to be kind. Yeah. And what society calls normal, very often from a Buddhist perspective, is just afflictive. Yeah, this is totally afflictive. So they often say that Dharma practitioners, especially monastics, are like white crows. Yeah. How often do you see a white crow? Not very often. Yeah. So you're swimming against the stream instead of going with it. So this is very good to think about in these unprecedented times, and that we can actually have a calm, happy mind. It doesn't mean we're happy about COVID, and it doesn't mean we're happy about what happened at the Capitol, but we can have, a happy mind in general, an optimistic mind. So she continues after that observation, saying, I have also been thinking about Buddha nature and emptiness. My clients are often drowning in financial, medical, and other stressors before we start to meet, and we go step by step to find a way towards balance and stability. Often things come up and obstacles get in the way. I remember that they are in these situations that they're in due to causes and conditions, due to afflictions and karma, but that they also have the potential to become fully awakened Buddhists. Okay, so she's switching her mind to make it something more optimistic and favorable that will actually help herself and help the people that she's trying to help. Okay, so that's one way of reacting to COVID, yeah? Now, here's something. Okay, then I have two things from inmates, okay? So these are from people, both of these people actually are in for life. Okay, they're in for life. So one of them, yeah, he's in for life because he was driving the car when his friend tried to rob a store and wound up killing somebody. And in California law, if you are involved in a situation where somebody gets killed, you get tried as if you were the murderer. So he didn't kill anybody, but he was driving the car. Okay, so he's still young. He's in his, I think, early 30s with a life sentence. Now imagine if that were you. Yeah, that's going to be difficult, isn't it? Yeah. And he's been in for, I think, at least 10 years already. So very little of his life on the streets. Most of his life is going to be in a prison in concrete walls. So he said, I've spent many years confined inside these walls that I once looked upon with dread, not knowing that this concrete room is only here to provide me with warmth and shelters as best it can, while I cultivate bodhicitta wholeheartedly. Yeah, you have your mouth open. Amazing. And he's somebody who's new to the Dharma. I haven't been writing to him that long. Can you believe that? When I was reading it, it sounded almost like a poetry verse, the way he said it. This one is from somebody I've been writing to much longer, who's in for murder, but he's a really good practitioner. So he was talking about, and his prison, it's been very difficult because a lot of people have come down with COVID. Yeah, and he's in a cell block where there's like maybe, I don't know, 100, 200, 300 beds in one big room. Okay, so if one person gets COVID, pretty soon the whole block gets COVID. They shut down that block so that the people in that block can't go out, which means that the people in the other blocks have to take over the different chores that are involved in running the prison, doing the laundry, chopping vegetables, cooking food, cleaning, and so on. So his block, thank goodness, is healthy, but he was telling me he was working 12-hour days in the kitchen. Okay, so here's how he is practicing in that situation. I just need to be not so attached to my wide array of worldly beliefs, whether liberal, conservative, or something else. I need to not let myself to succumb to victim mentality and instead to generate bodhicitta. So I think that will help me. And if people get mad at me, generate bodhicitta. If I get mad or upset, generate bodhicitta. So I will focus on that and have fun with it and enjoy my politics classes with a sense of happiness and joy from not being bogged down by attachment. It will take work, but I will do it. Okay, so all of you who are having a bad day and feel depressed and want to complain, or you're mad or upset or longing or frustrated,